Chapter 2. John the Teacher. 20 years ago, Noah Pat, the boy's father, saved John, who was in a near-death state outside the manor. After John had recovered from his wounds, the Viscount learned the man had nowhere to go, and decided to take him in, while offering him an easy and rewarding job. Fruit grower. What wounded him? Why he collapsed outside the manor? Where was he from? With all these remaining mysteries? He never told anyone. He did say he was from another planet. However, he never described or explained what this planet was called, or what it was. Now, John was a gifted speaker, with brilliant growing and building techniques. The young brothers had loved coming to him, hearing about all the wonderful stories. There were buildings that could pierce the skies, metal machines that could fly, even gardens that existed on the moon. Leon was always intrigued by the lands in these stories, and dreamt about going to these places when he grew up. When he did grow up, however, he realized that all the stories were made up. The feeling of having his dreams broken frustrated him very much, and ever since then he held and harbored a small hint of anger and disdain in the face of John. Leon had felt the same about the fact that Agnor trusted John, even considering him as his teacher. But no matter how Leon persuaded Agnor, Agnor could only respond with a wordless smile. He never rejected, he never retorted. Agnor had a very similar attitude to John's, gentle and calm on the outside, yet neither force nor reason could change his mind once he had decided something. Leon picked up the parchment on his desk. It was covered with a mass of thick characters, which instantly made Leon's eyes spin. Must you use these things taught by that old man instead of our universal language? No human alive can read them, unless there comes out a secret not intended for mankind. Leon muttered, then realized something. He looked at his brother with a wicked smile. Oh, dear brother, kindly explain to me, please. Are you recording your adolescent troubles? Come on, tell me. Big brother can help you. And your side, and pointed on the parchment. This is called Hanzi. They're used where the teacher comes from. As for their meaning, I'm writing about the records of the meaning of several physical constants that were calculated by the teacher. Agnor then pointed at some symbols beneath the swimming tadpoles. These are called Arabic numerals. They have been used for measuring units as we have in the Goldsmith Empire, but they're simpler and more distinctive. When you use them together with the constants I mentioned, you can record tons of stuff equally. Now, Leon didn't understand one bit of what Agnor had been talking about, nor did he really care. He only thought about how old John came up with more ways to hoodwink his brother, and how his adorable innocent brother was getting brainwashed. The only sympathy Leon had upon hearing the condition of John had disappeared. Leon waved his hand to stop Agnor and took out a delicately wrapped letter from under his armor. Just stop. I can't understand anyways. I don't really want to hear it. Here, an invitation from the city lord. My inheritance of father's title required notarization of the lord and Marquis Merlin. We will move out a month later. Didn't you always want to go to Master Maygrave's solo concert? I'll take you to the Ocean Theater in Waterford when we're done with the business so you can enjoy it. Agnor took the invitational letter with joy in his face. He had heard about the musician who was well known across the empire in Waterford. He had produced excellent melodies and lyrics, yet Agnor never had the chance to meet him or to even see him in the theater. So, of course, he was happy when his brother's official business could give him that chance. Looking at his brother, his younger brother, trying to suppress all that joy and act tough, Leon couldn't help but rough up Agnor's blonde hair. And of course, Agnor glared back at him. Hey, don't do that, I say. Hair is a man's pride. I will not take any compromise in this. Leon was speechless for a second before he burst into laughter. You're only 14 years this old. Hardly a man, just a young lad who still needs some growing. Now, the brothers romped around. Naturally, in the end, Agnor couldn't win against his brother, who was already as burly as a tiger. In the end, Agnor could only give his brother more stares before returning to his homework assigned by John. Leon never knew how to deal with Agnor when he decided to keep to himself. Leon rubbed his nose and turned to leave. About half an hour went past since Leon went away, and finally Agnor swam ashore from the sea of numbers. Looking at the empty room, Agnor knew that Leon had left a while ago. It was almost time for lunch. He opened the door, and there sat two lunchboxes placed at the stone table in the yard. As always, the head maid Mana was taking out the meals from the boxes. Vegetables stewed, sided with bread and fruit again. Einar felt a bit down upon seeing all this. He really missed his teacher's cooking. Those simple fried rice dishes never disappointed his appetite, as if there was magic again. Einar never had the delicacy ever since the teacher had started growing weak. He once tried learning cooking skills from John, but the results were terrible. Sigh. All four limbs of the teacher had welted beyond use now. I will probably never have these tastes again. Mana went upstairs to help John eat, while Egner sulked in depression. After finishing his meal, Egner entered the house just to see Mana coming down. Auntie Mana, is my teacher awake? Master John is awake, young master. Mana showed the empty porcelain bowl in her basket. He's in a good appetite today, drinking all the soup. Nice, I'll go see him. Now, Egner was watched running up the stairs in joy. Mana smiled only in kindness. The two masters owned Pat Manor now. On the outside, the elder master was proud and stern, while the younger one was gentler and calm. Outsiders didn't know that they were still children on the inside. No matter how strong they acted, they hid their softness and only showed their spirit in front of their close servants, which should have been nature at such an age. Teacher! Engel pushed open the attic door and saw the old man sprawling on the sling chair on the balcony with his mute servant respectfully standing behind. The old man had a sallow and shrunken skin. His appearance was drastically different from that of the locals, with obvious foreign features. His eyes were turbid, but those black pupils stood out. Without a father, Egner had been considering John his most respected elder and his lifelong mentor.